Smart Exotic Fish Sales. I've come over here today to check on one of my wild Cyprichromis from Lake Tanganyika. And let me turn this around. And what I'm going to do is show you how we check them. I drained the tank a little bit earlier, so now I'm going to go check them. Now, what we're going to check today is Cyprichromis leptosoma tricolor. But also, this is known as the black Pimpwi black bee. So that means it came from the Pimpwi area. Now, being a smart aleck, that's not the word I normally use for that. If somebody calls me and ask me where they come from, especially if they're a friend, oh, look at the babies in there, friend and business person I deal with, I would tell them, they say, where'd those come from? I would tell them they came from row 1, number 2. And they would get a laugh at it. Some people, I've said that too, they say, what a jerk. But that's okay, I don't mind. Now these guys, these babies in here, they're not gonna bother anybody. They're not going to eat the other babies, but if I don't take these out and they get to be 2 inches or so, they will start slamming on them. The big ones won't. They'll leave them alone. They're very good. Now this is a wild tricolor, and if it was really fired up, yellow head, yellow tail, blue body, big black dorsal fin, anal fin, beautiful. These are wild males, wild females. Next door, I've got probably, I'm considering F2 females, and then I took the extra, because you always get more males than I need. I don't want pairs in here. I'm breeding a colony. This is, you know, 25, 30 females and 4 males. So what I did is I took the extra males and I threw them next door. Took the male F2s out of next door, and I put the extra wild males in there. So, and being the person I am, if somebody asks me what they're on, I'm going to tell them they're F1.5s, which doesn't exist, but...
Can you tell us a little bit about their natural habitat?
Yeah, in the wild, these guys swim around in big columns. You know, you've certainly seen shows on TV where there'll be a big mass of smaller fish swimming in a big ball, and then here comes the porpoises or the tunas, and they rack them up. So these guys live mid-water, and they live in huge schools. I'm told that the dominant males stay in the middle, and that could change daily, who gets the dominant male.
Really?
Yes, and these guys will do it too. I've never tagged these guys. I don't know how to tag them. I don't want to tag them. But that's the people who have these in an aquarium environment say that they think that certain times of the day there are more dominant. They change dominant. The dominant male changes
throughout the day.
Throughout the day, or maybe on a daily basis, and then they don't. Then they get to spawn. There's what we got out of this tank right here.
Holy man.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, I don't ever mind on these tricolors. This is not like checking a Buco rhodesii. Buco rhodesii, that could be 2 females that it helps. Now these guys right here are wild males and F1, F2 females. These guys are in the wild are basically food for the predators. So these, I got some wild frontosas right over here, and hopefully one of these guys won't ever, we call it try to be free, where they jump out of here. Because on nights when we have heavy duty lightning, these fish are freaked out. If you walk out here with a flashlight at night, for example, to look for something, like if I'm out here looking for something that's not supposed to be here, like a raccoon or something I want to chase away. If you accidentally shine a light across some of these tanks, the fish just go nuts because it's totally dark out here. So sometimes they flip. These fish, I got fruitcake Xenos down there. You stick a net in that tank and they're flying. So,
fruitcake, is that an actual name, or
that's
you
what
just
I
call them crazy fish?
That's what I call fish that you can't. As soon as they see a net, they're jumping. When we put them in a warehouse, we cover them, and I tell the guys, these are fruitcake. You know what I'm talking about? Because when they go to catch them, they put a screen on one end, and they don't let these things jump out because they're nuts. These guys aren't bad. Like I said, you can leave these babies in here. But once the babies get a little bit bigger, I notice that I never see any babies. And we try to check these guys, I would say, on a 2-week basis. But one thing about them is it seems like whenever they do hold, they mass hold. Like something triggered it. Heard it was the moon. Could be rain. I can't believe it's rain. Lake Tanganyika is too big for, I don't know if they have, so water changes. I mean, water parameters changes the fish would associate. But certainly moon cycle. And these guys may breed at night, and maybe the best time for them to do it. I'd like to see it.
Now, not to give away too many of your trade secrets, but I mean, what would you consider a young breeder colony, numbers-wise?
Most people would like to get these minimally in trios, but like I said, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's going to be a dominant male. When I sell these guys, I have no idea what I'm selling because I'm not going to sell. I can't get these up big enough to sex them. This size right here, fish. These two sizes are the size I would say I sell 90% of my sips. Now this guy right here looks like he could be a little male. Who knows on this guy? But this is my size. This is maybe 2.5 months out. This is maybe 3.5. But we never get. I never raise a fish up this big because everybody hops on them. As soon as I put them on I never put them on the list this big. Only when I get wild in.
Now, Rick, this may or may not be a surprise to everyone, but you don't actually own a personal aquarium in your house or even in the office.
Nope, not since, I think my last fun aquarium was about 1971. And then my brother and I started bringing in Malawi fish, and then it turned from one fun tank, which was your typical angels, a cribby pair on the bottom, some, of course, zebra danios, little cat, algae eater stuff. Oh, I had a cool archer fish in there. And I lived in an apartment in Tallahassee, and I had a string over the tank, and I would walk mealyworms across it, and that archer would just slam them. Well, there was a knot in that net, on that line, which I never realized. So that archer fish was spending all day long blasting that line. So when I moved out of there, there was a soft spot in the drywall that I had to repair from that archer fish. But I thought it was too cool. Maybe just whacked that probably drove the thing crazy. But no, I don't have any tanks at home. This is my tank. And by the way, this is a 300-gallon, we call them burial vaults. And as you can see, they got a lip. They don't come with that hole. We have that hole put in. They have a big, heavy concrete lid. So a wooden casket would fit in here, and then it would go in the ground. You're not allowed in the state of Florida, at least down here, to put a casket in the ground.
What advice on tank size would you give for someone who would like to try their hand at keeping the tricolors?
Well, I'm a believer, only because of what I talk to my customers about. The larger the tank you can afford, the better off you're going to be. You can think about it. You got a 10-gallon tank, one little thing goes wrong with the water, boom, You got 20 gallons, a little bit better. You got 30 gallons. So whatever you can afford, I would go the biggest tank you want. Now, if you just want to mess with these guys and put them in a 20, 30 gallon tank, and they're going to be mid-water range. You're going to, so it's a Tanganyika tank. I wouldn't put these things in with haps or peacocks or anything, but in a Tanganyika tank, you could have some Julies on the bottom, maybe some shell dwellers. These guys will be mid-water doing their thing up in the top water column. So that's really cool because you'd have all levels, and put some rocks in the back. You could even put some Julies in there that hang in the rocks. Put yourself a few multi-cats in there and you'd have a fun tank. Of course, the multi-cats might mess with the breeding of the sips, but if they catch the eggs in the water, the multi-cats won't be able to do their thing.
That's awesome. Rick, really appreciate it. And then if we look at the amount of babies that you got today, what's the next step for these young kids?
Well, these guys right here, this little bucket, if you want to look in here, I'm going to take these are ready to put in the 22 gallon tank by themselves. They're going to get a baby brine, live baby brine for, you know, a week minimum. These guys are going to go into a little contraption that Tony, one of my guys who's been with me for 30 something years, came up with, that's going to move them around using water, not air. So then when they're all ready, I'm saying I don't know how many fish in here, but this is good. I'm happy with this because this is the first time these wild tricolors are bred. I've had them for about 2 or 3 months. They come in not in great shape because they really purge them over an month and a half of good feed, good quality food to get them to beef up, ready to carry eggs. So then what we'll do is I'll move this tank, these babies out, and 90% I'll probably put them in with some kind of a ret modus, maybe the Congos or the Capilia rets, which are going to stay on the bottom. That way, these fish will be up in the upper column, the other one's on the bottom. I'm not going to put them with anything that's going to grow fast or be aggressive, like maybe Frentosas or any of the Foways or the First, because these will become food. And then about 2 months from now, we will put them on the list as they grow. So now they're going to go in the warehouse, and somebody needs to cut this lead sheet. It's bothering me. I'm too tall for it. And I don't know if Tony's in here to set up the... Uh-oh, there's Tamla running. Don't film her. She has to be filmed. You're being filmed. Tam, you're being filmed. We'll just carry them in here in these buckets. I'm going to put them in this empty tank. This row right here is kind of set up to handle what we do with the eggs. If you notice here in this tank, this is what my guy came up with. This tank, this right here, this is just little teeny eggs there. Now they're going to be, these are a little bit bigger, and then in the tank there's big ones. These are Capilia rets. So as these fish get big enough, they're going to flow over the side. As soon as they start moving around, they'll flow over the side and be in this tank with the rest of them. So Tony will set the same thing up in here, and these will be where we put these guys. So we just dump them in here, and then make sure they all get out. There's always one of them stick this side. And you notice how they screw up even now. They make a little ball. So they'll eventually just start spreading out the tank, especially when we start feeding them. We'll get some brine shrimp, shoot it in there. Now we'll put a label on it, and then we'll know what it is. Those are eels, those are cool. We're just going to call them tricolor. I'm going to take today's date, put on the tank. That way I can keep track of when we check, and then know when I need to check again. And you'll notice some of these tanks, especially where Tony does it, like these are acuticeps. See, he's got dates for a fish you check on 6/19 and then 6/26 in that tank. So So that way he's keeping track of that. These are capillarets, and I didn't even see these till yesterday, and I'm thinking, why don't these guys tell me about this stuff? Because they like them, keep them around. And like, but anyway, that's saleable size, believe it or not. They're ready to go.
All right, thanks, Rick.
You got it.
See you next time.
You bet.